Uh, Good day, everyone. We are going to get started with our first lecture format in a Google slideshow. So this is Unit 3, Chapter 8.1 and 8.2, The Anatomy of Animals. We're going to focus on humans and their various organ systems. So before we start, we need to discuss structure and function and the difference between the two. Everywhere you're going to look, you will see the structure of things are directly related to their functions. How is the structure of the spoon related to its function? Well, when we think of a spoon, we know that a spoon is used to move a liquid from a bowl to your mouth, so it definitely doesn't have holes in it, whereas a fork is used for stabbing food, shoveling food into your mouth, and it's less used for liquid things. Can you think of any more examples? So every structure in a living thing has a very important function, and the function relies on that structure. Anatomy and physiology just relates to the exact same thing as structure and function, just using more scientific terms. So the anatomy is the shape of the arrangement of the parts of that make up an organism. And the physiology is how these different parts work in an organism. So again, anatomy would be similar to the structure, and the physiology is similar to the function of an organism. The organization of a human has been broken down for us so that we know the very tiniest components would be an atom moving to a molecule and then a macromolecule, which we've studied previously in this class, into organelles. And organelles help that cell to function. So the cell is the most basic part of life, the smallest unit of life. And each of those cells can be put together to create a tissue, which creates different organs, which then creates different organ systems, and coming together to create an organism as a whole. So we're going to be learning about the anatomy and physiology of human systems. So humans have 11 organ systems. The first one we're going to look at is the nervous system. The reason we can physically feel things is because of the nervous system. This is a network of specialized cells that detect, interpret, and respond to events occurring inside and outside of the body. It's very complex. It includes the brain and the spinal cord. And it's interesting because the nervous system is one of the communication systems in the body that tries to keep us safe. So if you've ever accidentally put your hand on something really hot, like a stovetop, and then had a reflex action to remove your hand, and then it feels pain. Well, why do you think your body reacted in this way? Well, it's because it's protecting you. So it's because that nervous system triggered a response before your brain acknowledged that this was hot or unsafe. When we look at the second organ system we're looking at is the endocrine system. This is a very complex system. It regulates and secretes hormones throughout the body. It's responsible for the metabolism, how fast your body can use food, sexual function, sleep, mood, and more predominantly the stress levels for the individual. You can see here the major endocrine glands in the body would range from the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the thymus, the adrenal glands, the pancreas, and in women, the ovaries, and in men, the testes. So the coordination of communication. So the nervous system and the endocrine system are the organ systems that specialize in coordinating communication. The next one is the skeletal system. This includes bone, connective tissues, ligaments, cartilage, and it protects those soft organs or those points of attachments for muscles. Can you think of any bones that protect soft organs? Well, when we take a look at the rib cage, those are bones. The bone structure is there to protect our internal organs of the heart and the lungs. They're most vital for life. The next one is the muscular system. So skeletal muscles, it's composed of skeletal muscles which move that skeleton. It has smooth muscles which enable the movement within organisms. And then there's another branch of muscles as well, which are the cardiac muscles. And these enable the heart to beat. Can you think of any organs that need to move in order to function? So our lungs would need to move in order to function. Our heart needs to move in order to function. And our digestive system is also something that has movement and is lined with smooth muscles so that it moves food down in order to digest that food. So support and movement of the body, the skeletal system and the muscular system are the systems that support us in movement. It may not be movement that you can see visibly from the outside, but within, internal movement. So the skeletal structure also allows us to stand on 2 feet, and that muscular system allows us to move both our muscles on the outside to move our body and on the inside to move our organs. The next one is the digestive system, and it breaks down food into the molecules that they are made of. So body cells use these molecules for energy. They're the building blocks of all things that we need in terms of cellular components. And anything that can't be used is eliminated from the body here. So can you think of a plant macromolecule that we can't digest? So this plant macromolecule that is very hard to digest is cellulose. We do not have the enzyme to break that down. It is eliminated by the body, but it is very important. Why? Well, because it ends up giving us some fat tissue to keep our bodies warm. So the next one is the circulatory system. So this is it transports substances throughout the body, food molecules, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Can you remember the chemical formula for cellular respiration? That would have been done in grade 10. So the next one is the respiratory system. And the respiratory system is where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the lungs and the atmosphere occurs. The oxygen is needed to release energy into the body cells during cellular respiration. And carbon dioxide is that waste product that's formed during cellular respiration. So why do you breathe faster when exercising? It's so that we can release that extra carbon dioxide because our body is trying to make more ATP for our cells to use. ATP is energy. So as we increase our exercise, we increase the energy requirements, and with that comes the byproduct of exhaling carbon dioxide and inhaling oxygen. Systems that acquire energy, so the digestive, circulatory, and respiratory systems all function to acquire energy. They help the body maintain the energy requirements for the metabolism to occur. The next system is the urinary system. So this filters and excretes dissolved waste molecules from the blood. Buildup of waste molecules in the blood can be very dangerous. So we need to make sure we have a balance in terms of the amount of water, the pH of the blood, and also blood pressure. The color of your urine can tell you how well your urinary system is working, with, of course, some exceptions. So a very clear liquid would be your urinary system is working very well, where if you have a very dark brown colored urine, this would indicate some severe dehydration. The ninth system is the integumentary system. It is made up of 3 important components: the skin, the hair, and the nails. And this system is meant to protect the body. The skin protects the internal organs and the cells within the body. Hair regulates temperature on your head and also within your armpits. And it keeps also the bad stuff out. Any place that we have an entrance to the internal body, we would have some hair. And nails, well, that's a defense mechanism. So why do we have hair inside of our nostrils? Well, that's to collect any bacteria that we would breathe in and filter that out. The 10th one is the immune or lymphatic system. This protects your body from infection, injury, and cancer. It's very complex, and it works really hard when you are sick. So when you're sick, your lymph nodes actually begin to swell, and that's an accumulation of your body working to fight off something. So protection of the body, the urinary, the integumentary, and the immune or lymphatic systems function to protect the body as a whole. The 11th one is the reproductive system. The reproductive system includes organs that make and transport sperm and eggs, as well as they enable the female to give birth. So males have different organs and different structures and functions for their reproductive system as females. You may recall some of the following terms from previous classes where we talk about, in previous years in science where maybe you heard about the germ cell or the gamete or the zygote. These are all reproductive terms that we use to describe the beginning of life. So creating a future, the reproductive system functions to produce the next generation. We need this in order to continue with life. So the 8.2 is the interaction of the organ system promotes homeostasis. No matter what the external conditions are outside your body, the internal conditions stay the same. So they remain stable or constant and balanced within, of course, a given range. There is a term for this, and in science we call this homeostasis. Homeostasis is the tendency to keep that stable internal state. So it's maintained by a negative feedback system. And this can be compared to the temperature range within your house. So if you think of your house and you think of your thermostat, or if your house gets too cold, and the sensor, the thermostat, actually will sense that it's too cold and initiate an action. And that's going to turn the furnace on to heat up that house. Now, if the house is too warm, the sensor, which is the thermostat, turns off that furnace until the house cools. We can see this as a graphic here and how that would work. This is an excellent example of a negative feedback system that maintains homeostasis of a room or a home. All negative feedback systems require a sensor that detects change and then signal the control center. So the control center activates something to reverse the change and to restore the balance. So how do we relate this to the human body system? In the human body system, the control center is the brain, and the sensors are all of the specialized cells within our skin and our different organs that pick up that something is not balanced. They then signal to the brain to initiate a response, and then the response is sent to different parts of the body to maintain a range, to bring us back to homeostasis. So the homework for April 6th to April 9th is to read the textbook online and to do the following questions. I would like for you to try to complete page 268, number 2, 3, 5, 7, and 10. I would also appreciate if you were able to watch the YouTube videos that have been added to the Google Classroom. I will be open for questions and for you to reach out on both Tuesday and Thursday. If you have any questions on this section of the course, please feel free to either comment or send a message or get in touch with me some way. So the commenting function on Google Classroom is active, and I do expect you to be able to use that. If needed, we can certainly set up a Google Meet time, but at this point, we'll take it day by day and see how this goes. Thank you and good luck.